This week on Addicted to the Outdoors.
It's been super fulfilling as a parent to watch our kids grow into full-fledged hunters.
We're big believers on progressing them from smaller bucks to bigger bucks, and it makes you appreciate a big buck.
Where's the fun without a little competition?
The first thing to come to my mind is it bigger than my deer?
You know, since we're twins, I got to beat her.
You know, by this point, we can definitely tell they're into it. They've got the whitetail bug.
I had to talk a little smack,
Okay.
And now, the moment of truth. We break out the tape and...
Holy cow.
Born and raised by a hunting family in the swamps of Florida and shooting a bow by 8 years old, John Brunson took to hunting early. Gina grew up fishing with her father, but it was weekend hunting trips with John that put big game blood under her fingernails for the first time. Even now, with raising 6 kids and running 3 companies, Jon and Gina are still a fistful of dirt couple that take life by the antlers. Sound familiar? If so, pull up a stump with the Brunsons, because they are addicted to the outdoors.
Man, what a buck. This week, Gina and I are going to be doing something a little special. One of the biggest questions we get when we meet fans out on the road or online is, how do we get our kids into whitetail hunting? And over the years, Gina and I have come up with what we think is the answer. To not only introduce your children to whitetail hunting, but to instill in them the love for the sport that will stick with them for the rest of their lives.
Well, John and I are deeply passionate when it comes to getting our kids into the outdoors, especially when it comes to whitetails.
There you go. Whenever you're ready.
And over the years, we've learned the perfect way to pass down the whitetail bug to our kids.
So we hear about and see a lot of pictures of parents that take their kids out on their first whitetail hunt ever, and they put them on a 170-inch buck. Again, we're not knocking that. I mean, everyone's got their own style, but our philosophy is actually just the opposite. Gina and I believe in beginning our kids out the way that we had to learn how to hunt. My first deer was a doe, my first buck was a little spike, and man, I didn't kill my first decent buck until I was in my early 20s.
And we think this way it just helps build a deeper love for the sport.
We've taken our kids to the woods since they were really little, but it took them a few years to get a little older before they really started taking whitetail hunting seriously. One thing that we love is we can literally be 2 weeks out from a hunt and the kids are already asking, what stand are we gonna hunt in? Has there been any big bucks seen? Do we have any good Browning trail cam pics of good bucks we can check out?
Where we're going, have you guys seen any on cameras or anything? Bigger than that 8-point?
Where we're going, yeah.
By this point, we can definitely tell they're into it. They've got the whitetail bug. It is definitely in them. Nowadays, when we go on a trip, it's more like having a car full of your friends instead of your kids, because they're all after the same thing, the biggest buck.
Well, the kids' first serious whitetail hunt was several years ago in Kansas.
That first trip to Kansas, our goal really was to try and focus on a buck around 100 inches. We knew if we saw a giant, we were not going to let him shoot it, which I know is kind of tough, but again, this teaches them a lesson and it really makes them appreciate a big buck. And a deer around 100 inches, well, that's a great first buck for anybody. So that first year, the first one to tag out was Gunner, and he shot a great first buck. About an hour of light left where we're not really expecting anything to happen, and all of a sudden I look over about 200 yards away in the wood line and I see an ear flicker, and I start glassing over there and all of a sudden I can see a pretty nice rack. Just hold it, your left.
In my mind I'm like, oh wait, it's definitely 100% real.
I told Gunner, I said, when he crosses behind that bush, let's shoulder the gun. Sure enough, buck goes behind the bush, he shoulders the gun, gets ready, the buck steps out. And I'm sitting there and the buck's standing perfectly broadside. So I said, you know, Gunner, when you're ready, just shoot. So he's sitting there and he's not shooting. And I'm looking at the deer, and all of a sudden he's like, I got a shot, can I shoot him? I'm like, yeah, man, you need to shoot. So he's sitting there and he's not shooting. And I'm looking at the deer, and all of a sudden he's like, I got a shot, can I shoot him? I'm like, yeah, man, you need to shoot. Feel good? Yeah. Okay, all right.
I like right behind the shoulder and it just went boom. I was not surprised.
That was a nice buck. That's your first buck, dude. Holy cow. All right. And not only was he excited, he talked some serious smack.
I've got the 8 point.
So later that same evening, it was time for Tough to go out. And of course, he wanted to sit with Dad. We get out there, get situated, and it's not long before we start seeing deer.
So I was going to shoot the 4 point, but my dad said to wait, and I just kept saying I wanted to shoot it.
We'll just watch him, and if something bigger happens to come in, we'll shoot the bigger buck, and if not, we'll shoot this forky. I think it's a bigger buck. There's bigger bucks.
And I was shaking the whole time, so it was kind of hard.
Yep. He can go down. He's going down.
I see him.
He's dead.
Yes.
He's dead. Just let him fall. Boom, backflip.
I was shaking so much. I finally got a deer, and I was really excited.
Good job, man. Give me a hug.
Yeah. I'll go few.
So both Tough and Gunner ended up getting great first bucks. Raven unfortunately didn't tag out on that trip, but she was able to get her first buck down later that season back home in Florida.
Well, with her two brothers tagging out that first year, I made Raven a promise that no matter what, by the end of the season, I'd get her first buck down. So we're sitting in the stand, we start seeing some does. I can tell Raven's getting really excited. She's breathing heavy. Then all of a sudden, boom, there's a shooter buck. He's a 7-pointer. Now, of course, this wasn't a monster, but this was a perfect first buck for our daughter. There he is. Okay, guess I'm ready. Put him right in the middle spot and just squeeze.
Oh my God.
Got your first buck. When we went down there and put our hands on that deer, she knew that deer wasn't the biggest deer. She knew that deer wasn't bigger than Gunner's deer, but she didn't care. Look at there. Are you excited?
Yes.
Oh, were you nervous?
Yes, I was scared.
Yeah. Were you scared you're gonna miss?
Yes.
All right. High five. That first trip to Kansas, for the most part, really gave the kids the high of whitetail hunting. Now, when we went back to Kansas that second year, they got to experience the exact opposite. Temperature's dropping, it's a little cool, which is great, but we have a front coming through right now, so.
The second year in Kansas was definitely tough, but hey, that's hunting sometimes.
All in all, it was just a tough trip. It was hot and the deer just weren't moving. When it's happening, and when it's not, it's not. And the kids hunted really hard, but ended up going home empty-handed.
But I do think that's an important lesson that they got to learn, that you don't always go home with a buck.
So after bombing in Kansas that second year, I definitely decided to shift gears. I wanted to take the kids somewhere that I felt they'd see a lot of deer and we'd have a good chance at taking the kind of buck we were looking for. And of course, that state was Texas. So in Texas that year, the first kid to tag out was actually Gunner again. And out of left field, he decides to name this buck Jeff.
The first name that came to my head, it was Jeff. It was spontaneous. Looked at it and I was like, that's Jeff.
Is that him?
Steven and Gunner look at each other and they're like, that's Jeff.
Your safety's off. It's ready to shoot. Oh, no, wait. Oh, my God. When that deer clears, put it behind the shoulder, squeeze the trigger. Hit him home.
It was about 140, 145 yard shot. He absolutely smoked the deer. I could see.
Oh, never mind. There he is. Yes, sir. He didn't run far. Oh,
behind the shoulder. What an old deer. Look at that.
Jeffrey.
Look how wide he is. What a pretty buck. That's an awesome buck to kill. That's all he'd ever be too. Big white.
Jeffrey's dead.
Jeffrey's down.
Nice shot.
Right behind the shoulder. Perfect shot, buddy.
No.
He's awesome buck, man. Good chocolate. Got that dark rag.
Oh my
God. Good job,
nice
bud.
work.
Well, after Gunner got his buck Jeff down, of course, he was talking smack. So Tough hadn't tagged out yet, and Gunner had shot a buck exactly like he was looking for.
I had to talk a little smack, you know. Where's the fun without a little competition?
So the plan now is to take Tough out and hopefully put him on his first buck ever over 100 inches.
By himself on the right side. Yeah, that's him. He's walking towards us. Now he's kind of in the middle. Yeah, that's the big one right there. Yeah, that's the one we want to shoot. He's kind of facing us like that, Tough. Put it like square on the shoulder. Good job, buddy.
Good job, bud.
Right on. I think this is called Brunson Road now.
This is Brunson. This is the Brunson corner, man. Good job, buddy. Let's go check out your deer, man. Yeah, Texas buck. Your first Texas buck. Oh, dude. Oh, look at that. He's wide. Look at that 10 points.
Congrats, dude.
Nice, perfect 10.
You know, we measured the deer. Tough actually had the bigger buck by about 1/4 inch. So, you know, Big Brother was, you know, all happy and talking smack with Gunner because Gunner had beat him the year before.
Later that year, Jon and Raven went on their annual father-daughter hunt down to the Marisol Ranch.
It ended up coming down to the last day, and boom, we look up and the #1 buck on our hit list steps out right in front of us.
Come on, buddy. Keep turning. All right, buddy. Right behind the shoulder. Nice and easy. Right behind the shoulder. All right, hold on. Okay, let's turn to a little more. Oh my gosh, baby. Oh my gosh. He ain't moving. Oh my gosh.
So at the end of year 3, Raven held the title for biggest buck out of the kids. And this definitely started to brew some competition between the 3 of them. Going into that next year, I know Tough and Gunner were definitely trying to claim that top spot. But it wasn't until my trip with Tough back to the Marisol Ranch that things got interesting.
Within the first like 10, 15 minutes, 2 young bucks and that 10 point came back out.
That's him right there. Yeah, that's our boy. We're just gonna get down, get Gunner right down. Now let's just watch him, all right? Just relax. Just relax. Be still. Looking straight at us. Yes, be still. Man, this guy is killing us.
We were just like, please don't go on the fence. Like, please don't jump in there. Please don't. And then all of a sudden he just turns around and starts walking a different way.
Oh, here we go, here we go. Wait till he stops. Be ready, baby, be ready. Here we go. There you go. Whenever you're ready. Remember to squeeze, don't move nothing else. All right, he's starting to turn towards you. All right, you got. All right, here we go. Ready? There you go.
Within the first like 10, 15 minutes, 2 young bucks and that 10 point came back out.
All right, here we go. Ready? There you go.
He's good. He's going down. Perfect shot. Perfect shot.
No phone. He's down.
Good job, buddy. Got your big bug. Got your big bug. Big bug. Big bug.
Perfect shot.
So whenever my sister came, she ended up getting a nice buck. It's pretty good. And then, you know, since we're twins, you know, I got to beat her. So that was the goal for today.
Robert was actually the guy that scored Raven's deer too. So I'm like, you know what? Let's not even look at what her scored exactly. Let's just measure his buck and just see where it lands.
So I was at my cheer competition and my dad texted me that Tough finally got a deer down. So I was sneaking off and texting my dad, of course, to see like if they scored the deer yet, if it was bigger than mine, smaller, or if he actually beat me.
Holy cow.
So Robert finally gets the deer scored, writes everything down on paper, and he's kind of got this weird look on his face. Robert asked me, you know, what did Raven's deer score? I'm like, you know, I'm not real sure exactly if you think it's that close. You know, looked up the score of 143 and 5/8, and he just gives me this crazy look. And I'm like, what? He goes, you're not gonna believe this.
143 and 5/8. Oh man, that's unbelievable.
The twins, of course, right?
I mean, you couldn't have scripted anything better than that.
What's her?
Identical.
Can you believe
143.
Identical.
It's the exact same score.
Oh my God.
Right?
I definitely remember when Tough's buck tied with mine, which was pretty ridiculous.
I still can't believe the twins ended up getting bucks that measured the exact same.
Yeah, so what they scored?
You will never believe it. 143 and 5/8, identical score to Ravens.
That is crazy.
But hey, that's still technically first place, right?
So by the beginning of the following year, both Raven and Tough technically held first place for the biggest whitetail. Now fast forward a bit, and Gunner ends up getting on the board.
Right behind that shoulder and just rip him. Sir, you're behind him. Okay, you're clear.
Pretty buck.
Yeah.
Fair chase whitetail, baby.
But not quite enough to take the top spot. Raven ends up shifting her focus a bit more towards mule deer.
You're good whenever you're ready. Nice, you smoke.
Oh my gosh.
Good job, babe. Congratulations. Which left Tough with a great window to seize the crown. And of course, what other place to do it than back at the Mirasol Ranch?
So back down in Texas, I had one goal. I wanted the biggest buck so that I could break the tie and take the crown.
Tough ends up shooting an awesome buck.
Hey, feel comfortable. Like you can get right behind that shoulder. Yep. All right, you comfy. All right, I'll get on him. Okay. Have room.
You hit him.
I heard the thump.
I hit him pretty solid.
What do you think, man? That's your biggest buck. Yeah, I know. I was starting to shake some. Man, you're shaking a little bit. Yeah,
And we're pretty sure it's gonna beat Raven.
He is big. Good job, man. Good job.
Yes, sir.
Glad we found him. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
And now, the moment of truth. We break out the tape and
153.
Oh! What's up, Tough? 153.
broke it.
Yeah, bud. Good job.
Tough's taken the crown this year. And at 153 inches, this time it's definitely no tie.
So I'm a premium. So you beat her by 10 inches. You broke the record by 10 inches, man. Stepping up at the big boys' land.
I will say, it feels pretty awesome to finally have the biggest whitetail down, especially after tying with my sister last year.
Tough and Raven better watch out. They think it's just gonna be them two fighting for the biggest buck next season. But if they're not careful, I'm gonna sneak right by them and take that crown.
It's been super fulfilling as a parent to watch our kids grow into full-fledged hunters. And I'm very grateful that we're able to share the love of whitetail hunting with all of our kids. And I'm definitely excited to see who's gonna take the crown next year.
So for anyone watching this episode, first and foremost, we hope you enjoyed it. But most importantly, we hope that we've taught you some things that you can take back and apply to your kids that's gonna help instill that whitetail bug in them in a way that hopefully sticks with them the rest of their lives.